we do want to discuss the elephant in the room, as it may be. What's wrong with all the blue bloods in college basketball this year? Duke, Carolina, Kansas, Michigan State, Kentucky's just embarrassing. Like, what is wrong with all the schools that we're used to seeing elitism out of?
So I think as weird a year as this is with the corona and all that, I think they showed their colors, no pun intended, early on. If you watch them early in the year, if you watched Duke, they lost an early game to Michigan State, who struggled. If you watched Kansas against Kentucky, you could tell early on the talent is not what it was, number one. And we've all gotten used to now they bring in the freshman class and we just assume it's going to be, Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett. And it was very clear the talent is not there. It's just not there. And, using Duke as an example, they're just not that good. Matthew Hurt is their best player, and it's not a cut on him, but he's a fringe NBA, he'll be an NBA player, I would think, but he's nowhere near a star that they're used to. So when it really, like Jalen Johnson for them he's going to be probably a late lottery pick, but he's been slow in developing. And I don't think the year in particular has helped any of these squads either, because they actually needed the time to adjust. And Kentucky, pointing on that, like Calipari said it, he said it's the poorest job he's done because of scheduling. He didn't give them time to gel. They just didn't have it, and you don't have. And some, like Brandon Boston for Kentucky, when he came in, they're looking at him as a top 5 pick. And now, yes, he will be an NBA player, but he's struggling. And it's not even a guarantee that he's a first-round pick at this point. So it's a combination of, how many times do you turn over and assume it's just going to work fluidly, which it hasn't. And the year of the corona hasn't helped. They haven't had time to develop. They breaks. And just quite frankly, like in Kentucky, they had if you saw early on, they had 2 games. They legit shot 0% from 3 in 2 of their first 3 games.
That's 0. Hard to do.
Yes. And Notre Dame, it's funny, who has played a very pivotal point in both of the school seasons, Duke, Kentucky, very down year for Notre Dame. Nowhere near the same, as good of coach as Mike Brey is. That they don't have the talent. Notre Dame went zone on Kentucky, and I saw it right then. They had a blueprint. Kentucky can't shoot. They just can't shoot the ball. So Kentucky's athleticism, they made a furious comeback late in the second half, but they can't shoot. And basketball, let's be simple. We've talked the NBA, the Knicks, how for years they can't shoot. That you have to score. So no matter how good athletes you have, they're struggling, and it really comes down to that. They don't have the perimeter talent. Quickly's gone from last year, who stretched the floor. They don't have it. So as much as it's an anomaly in a sense that we don't expect this regularly, when you really dig deep, the talent level is not there. And same with the Blue Bloods. Kansas is not a bad program by any means, but you can't lose Devin Dotson and Azubuike. They're big, the most dominant big guy last year, and your point guard, and just assume you're going to win the Big 12 every year, which amazingly they've won so many times. So I really think it comes down to that. The talent is either A, not developed yet, or B, it's just, in Duke's case, it's not there. You can't assume every year that all these kids are going to be first-round picks. And so I think it really just comes down to that. And Michigan State, for example, so I think they're a little bit different. I think Michigan State, we're talking about, the Big Ten is by far the best conference. It's a battle every night. The corona, they've had pauses. Izzo had a very interesting quote. He said, it's not the best year to be struggling at the point. Cassius Winston leaves. It's no fault of anything. And Rocket Watts, who's one of their best players, he was their de facto point guard. He actually asked out of the duties. He's just better off the ball. He's not comfortable. So they have talent. They turn the ball over at an alarming rate, and that's going to be a problem. But I do think they're representative of the Big Ten. If they hold on and get into the tournament, I don't see them making a Final Four run by any means, but I think every team in that conference will be well served to get out of that gauntlet every night. But when you get back to Duke, Kentucky, it's really just that there's talent, but they're just not that good this year.